So we're all bombarded by information. It's getting harder and harder to reach out and get our attention and to market the products to us as the competition for attention is really high. Nonetheless, the UK-based training app Peak found their way to convince more than 40 million people in 180 different countries to download their app and therefore became the #1 brain training application. Our next speaker, Thiago Monteiro, is the head of user acquisition at Peak and being responsible for acquiring thousands of new subscribers every month. And today he shares with us how a good creative took Peak from 1 to 3 million monthly downloads with a few simple rules. Thiago, the stage is yours.
Hi everyone. My name is Thiago Monteiro and I head the user acquisition team at Peak. As was well introduced, but hey, we are the leading brain training app in the world with over 50 million active users in every country that you can imagine, which is really great. And we were able to achieve that because we partner up with different universities around the world to actually develop our games and to make sure that we have some science to what we claim that we can do, which is basically make you smarter. Sorry for the commercial break there. So now, why I decided to talk to you about creative. When the nice guys just asked me to come here, there were a couple of things that we could talk about. We have some really cool automation scripts going on. Our strategy to growth is also quite aggressive, and it's not very common the way we do. But looking deep on our success, we see that creative is the base of it all. Creative is the main part that we were able to crack that allows us to develop all the remaining stuff that comes behind. So, and basically, as you can see here, this is a line of installs per day, only paid, no organic uplift, unfortunately, here. So for you to have some sort of sense, we're talking about close to 250,000 on the top day there. And how did we get this nice upward curve with loads of peaks? When we start looking at click-through rate of our paid channels, we can see some nice correlation of incremental installs with some really great increase in click-through rate. And it's still going up, and every day we're actually reaching new highs on click-through rate. Especially on these two cases here, these were due to really great creatives that we have. We're talking about jumping on a click-through rate of more than 70% on day by day compared to our previous control. And I don't need to explain. I imagine that if you have such a big jump on click-through rate, it means lower CPCs, lower CPI, and then, of course, lower CPA, which is perfect. It's a dream for any user acquisition. So hopefully, I did a good job so far. And now you have this question in your mind, how can you find good creatives for yourself? And I'm not going to the detail of, oh, the composition should be 20% skyline with a 30% of a human face. I don't believe on that part of it. I believe more in having some simple, basic rules when you're thinking about what you should use as your creative. There we go. So sorry for this. This is my poorly attempt to imitate our logo. So we have 3 main rules that we try to follow every time that we're thinking about creative. So first of all, we need to create value. Second, we need to grab attention. And the third one, we need to be creative. It's an awful way to say it, but creative being creative. But that's what I could come up with. And going a little bit further, and if anyone here actually spoke with me about marketing, I always pick up this definition of marketing by Kotler. And I could really go over this for a long time, so I'll try to be conscious about time. But the main part that we want to use here is the creating value. So marketing should create value on top of the value that your product or service is delivering to the consumer. It's a bit weird to talk about this. Normally, everyone when we're doing some communication, we just try to sell stuff. If we change our mindset from trying to sell stuff to create value to the user, it's more likely they're going to pay attention to you. Wow, not that hard to think about, but not a lot of people are doing this. And the way that we found that we can do that is by adapting ourselves to the user mindset at the time that we're communicating with them. What that means, are the user procrastinating? Are they on Facebook mindlessly scrolling during their commutes? Maybe they need to be entertained at that time. They don't want to see a big sales announcement at that time. Maybe they just want something to spend that time. Are they searching for some more content? They want to find more about something. So if you are in a place that you can provide that specific content, provide that to the users so you can communicate with them, creating value to the interaction. Is the user ending the session a game? Is that they're playing a free game and they finish the session and then your ad comes up? Cool. How can you provide another fulfilling experience for the user? How can you provide, a good value for the attention the user is paying to you? Or are they just simply trying to grab some free coins? In this case, it's more interesting how we actually were able to get some interesting results here, how using incentivized video, just by building our brand instead of trying to get them out there. Because if they're trying to get coins, they don't want to get out of the experience they're having right now. They want just to continue that. So we were able to get some good results thinking like this. The second pillar, or second way of thinking, using the quote from Dr. Herbert Simons, basically this guy, he defined that it's really cool that we have a lot of content coming up and people can create content really easily, but what that generates is deficit in attention because, as you can imagine, content exponential attention is quite a straight line because it grows as more people come around to the market and have access to the content. So what that means is there is every day that passes, there is less attention available in the market, and the attention that's available in the market for you to buy, let's call them impressions, are going to be more expensive because there are more people, more advertisers trying to buy the same attention. So how can you grab attention of the user at that point? Of course, by creating value, it's a first step to grab the attention, in my point of view, but that is not the end game yet. So you need to be able, on the first 3 seconds of your communication, also the first 3 seconds of the interaction that you're having with your customer, to grab the attention, to make sure that you jump out of your competition. So maybe you're advertising on all black and white, on a newspaper, so maybe have something very colorful. Or the way around, if it's a very colorful environment, be toned down, be black and white. Try different things. Also, the important thing as well to think about this, and goes back to creating the value to the customer, we tend to say this. We ask the users to pay for attention, and then ask them to buy or install our apps without providing any value for the interaction. So basically, it's the same thing as going to the street and asking for €1 from everyone that goes through for nothing in return for them. It doesn't make sense. Make sure that the user gets something out of the attention they're paying to you at the beginning. The last one, it's about being creative. And I like to use this because, it uses erections as a word, and people get, oh my God. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of testing different things. Try and try and try. If there is something that makes you scared, try on a smaller market, test it, and see what's the result. If there's some backlash, deal with it. But don't stop because you're afraid of trying different things. Don't try to reach as close as possible as the borderline that's not acceptable in society. And if you get to there, it's a good point to stay. Just make sure that you don't go over the line, then it's a big problem. And our approaches in bullet points, have a good testing plan with iterations and new ideas. And once again, don't be afraid of testing stuff that doesn't seem relevant for you, because sometimes they work. And here are some examples. Unfortunately, these are all videos. But I was very smart and make this a PDF, so videos don't work. So really sorry for that. I'll try to explain these guys for you. So here it's we were one of the first guys in the UK to advertise on Snapchat stories. And what we did was extremely clickbait. I'm not very proud of that. And it didn't work on Snapchat stories. So you click here, it says, how smart are you? You click there, there's a bunch of riddles and questions. And then at the end, it asks you to download the app. It didn't work at all. But what it opened space for was for us to use these type of content in content networks. And there, it's working. So it's just about testing new things that don't work, but then you are able to pull that and have the light bulb coming up and, OK, I'm going to use this in somewhere else. And it sometimes works. Here, it's also Snapchat. It's about someone is a thief in your neighborhood. There is a lightning bolt. Unfortunately, you can't see the lightning bolt right now, but on the first 3 seconds, it's quite loud. So it grabs the attention of the user and then provides some sort of value to the user because you're trying to entertain them. On the third one is a retargeting campaign. We know people that really love the game, our game there. They play that a lot. They're still free users. We target them with a discount. That worked as well. So tailored to them, created value for these guys because they're already your users. So a discount is creating value as well. And that one, I love that one. Unfortunately, it never worked. There should have been cats coming in one way and leaving on the other. And basically, it takes around 7 seconds for you to have the full content. And that's too much. My point of view is that if we're able to make it work in 4 or 3 seconds, it could work, but at this time, it didn't work because we're asking too much at the first interaction of the user without providing any value. Of course, any talk about creatives wouldn't be a talk about creatives without the testing part, in my point of view. So what about the testing? How do we do it? Is there anything that I can share with you on how Peak is able to provide new, interesting content, every month at least? So the first thing is our testing time. We spend 70% of our time testing creatives. It's about iterations. So testing the background to be a light gray or dark gray. Should we make the font bold or should it be normal? These type of small changes on stuff that's already working for us. So we can keep seeing small improvements on these performance of these ads. And then 30% of our time is spent on trying new concepts. And this is also important because, one, if you're dealing with designers, normally this means that they're going to be interested in you because they still have time to do something new instead of just changing the background of a video. But also, sometimes you can find really all-star creatives that are going to just explode your campaign and allow you to expand activity quite dramatically. Also, one thing that's important as well, we need to be careful not to spend too much time on the new concepts because otherwise you're going to lose the performance of things that are working already and the same way around. Push new formats. Whenever someone comes to you with an offer of a new format that wasn't available and they want you to be one of the first, I tend to say yes, just because I'm going to have little to no competition there. So that's a win by itself. Also enables me and my team to interact with the new format, and so we have new ideas. Just like the Snapchat stories allowed us to go to content networks. We would never think about that, to be honest. So just try everything that comes around. And of course, there's always value to being the first one. So consumers will pay more attention to the first ads that come to a new network because they're not used to see networks. So it looks like it's just another friend of them posting something. So try to be always the first one on a new network, my point of view. Plan ahead. Is this the last slide? So it's important to be, it's all cool to be creative and to be free and try different things, but it's important to have some sort of structure. We are UA, we are data-driven. So generate a plan with a clear hypothesis for your iteration testing. I mean, once again, man versus woman on the imager, or if it's a dark background versus a light background, font type, etc., etc., and try to understand what you're learning with this, so you can create a general list of learnings that can help new designers or new creative teams to work better for you right away, and also to guide you when you're creating new concepts. And then, when you're thinking about new concepts, try to be relaxed. So once again, you need to be able to give freedom to people as well, for them to do whatever comes to their mind, because maybe your next creative is something that you couldn't think about, but someone completely new to your business will be able to come up right away, which happened to us. Our latest peak was our new designer provided during her interview. She didn't have any experience with the company. She got hired, we used her creative, and boom, we had a nice new peak on click-through rate because of that. Cool, and that was it.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from your side? Well, we have a question here. Yuri. Wow. That's performance.
Quick, Mark.
Thank you. On your very first slide, there was a graph of installs, and there was quite a significant fluctuation from day to day or something like that. Can you please a little bit elaborate on that? Thank you.
Sure. So we not only have installs are not only influenced by UA activity, in my point of view. So there's a click-through rate, of course, but also if you're running discount campaigns, if you suddenly have a PR push, those are included there. So, and because of our partnerships with the universities, we constantly have PR pushes around the world. So, and I can have control over that, unfortunately, and I don't have a clear map, so I couldn't clean up the data from those guys. So that's why you see sometimes, yeah, but the big one that you see in January, we had a big promotion, which allowed us to spend a lot of money, which acquired us a lot of installs, of course, but it wasn't related to a click-through rate increase, so I didn't add the box.
Hi. Just checking if it's working. You clearly say that you can test with an experiment with a lot of fonts and different. How do you say that? How much do you think you can stick with the already existing branding that there is? Let's say you have brand collaterals. You say this is the font that you can use. These are the colors that you can use.
So we have a bit of freedom about our branding at this point, which I'm very happy about because I'm quite free to test as much as we can. Of course, certain things, if you know, it's a lot of gray or blue, and the certain colors, the animation needs to be in a certain way. So my brand guidelines are very broad at this point, so it allows me some space. Because before I worked in a company that the brand was harder and stricter, and what we used to do, we would do small scale tests, and then I could come to the brand people and provide them, look, this is my case. If we are allowed to change this, we can increase performance by X. So why don't you allow us to change? And normally, if money is involved, money talks louder.
Got it. Just to kind of follow up, and this comes from the context that in a lot of app marketing companies, what you can do is that, okay, let's say there is some guy a publisher that you have is, for example, let's say Solitaire, right? So you want to make an ad that looks very native to Solitaire, even if the colors are very different from yours.
To be fair, we didn't have the problem so far. When we try to do native, and a disclaimer, we are quite strong on social, paid social, and now we're quite strong on content as well. When we did in-app, we had extremely high click-through rate with, just resizing some of the ads that we had on Facebook and all. So even if we didn't put any effort on trying to make it look native.
Got it. Cool, thanks.
It worked for us. So.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.